and he drew it again. And he put this little wedge on the tail, which we know some of them have because we found the skin of them in impressions in Germany, in the Solhofen formations over there. So he wasn't trying to convince me that he saw a living dinosaur or pterodactyl. He was trying to convince me, hey, that's in the canyon down there. If we go down there, we can find this thing. And there's places they could hide. You know, there are caves and where nobody goes. They could glide in there and catch a current and glide out. And there's lots of reports of these things. I've had a little Mexican gal from Mexico down there told me about one that tried to grab two of her friends, one of her friends' two little sisters, tried to grab one of them. And she describes a pterodactyl. So, again, it goes back to one of the reasons I have the museum is they look, all the stuff they teach you in high school and college, you know, about dinosaurs is pretty much all bogus. These things didn't go extinct. Nobody knows what's extinct anyway but God. And he's not sent out a list anytime lately. But, you know, I've had several people now tell me about their encounters. And what they're describing is a living pterodactyl. The Indians used to kill them up in Oklahoma. Saber-toothed cats were killed out in Arizona back in the 1910s in that area. Okay, so what's extinct? Well, nobody knows. Well, why do we say there is such extinction? That's because Darwin's story had to have the ability to say, look, these things, it all was millions of years ago, and they were all inferior, and they went extinct because they were trying to be more superior like us. I go, baloney. Look at the bones I've got here. These things, the construction is better than anything today. The teeth are fabulous. The skulls are fabulous. They're enormous. They're complex. Some of these dinosaurs, I haven't collected one that I know of, but apparently they have a brain in their tail, you know, and in their head. Now, is that more complex than people? Some of us don't even have a brain in our head, you know.
Wow.
That whole evolution thing has done a great disservice to paleontology and biology.
Oh, yeah. Now, because we're kind of winding down on time here, giants. You know, you see all these pictures, but you again, because of Photoshop and people faking stuff, of skulls and parts of bones of giants. Have you ever run across any bones of giants at all of any kind?
Well, I know a lot about them because I've researched it. But the only time I've been to one grave here in Texas, this cowboy said, "I got to tell you my story." And he told me when he was a sophomore in high school, he was out on in the Badlands out there, and came across this giant skeleton. So he went to Texas Tech over here, and an American Indian professor, and he dug up a 12-foot tall man buried with a man 3 feet tall, not a kid, a man 3 feet tall, and they had it on display. And I think when I was a kid, I saw that in the museum over there. In about 1960, someone vandalized the case, and we don't know what happened to the bones. But so this guy took me to this gravesite, and it wasn't much to see. It had been, nearly 50 years since he found it. But there were rocks around that could have been used, to put over it. That's as close as I've gotten. I've talked to a couple of Indians. One is an Ojibwe, I think, up in Minnesota, maybe. He says, we know what's in those mounds out there. It's those evil white people with blonde hair. Okay, I've read you on that. So he said, we had to kill them all. They were bad. And you talk to most American Indians, if they tell about giants, they're usually bad, and they're usually white, and they're usually redheaded or blonde-headed. Go figure.
I wonder why. But, it's kind of strange, too, when they have unearthed these skeletons and stuff, they get shipped off somewhere, and then there's no record of them.
Yeah. Okay. I've encountered this a long time, and I think I know why. It's because of David and Goliath. That's the Bible. I got to stay away from the Bible. It might be true. Well, hey, it really happened. They've got Goliath's name on a pottery shard now. They know he was over there. They found his city. It's true. All that stuff's true. So why not, the Smithsonian American Museum and a bunch of others, they've dug up a lot of giant skeletons. If they put one on display, they would have more people come to see that than would come to see a T-Rex. And millions want to see a T-Rex. You put a giant man up there 9 feet tall, and you'll never get rid of the lions. People will come from everywhere to see the thing because we're more interested in people than we are in anything else. And we're very interested in dinosaurs and T-Rexes, but we're more interested in people. Why don't they put them on display? It's because I know a lot of these people, and they're anti-Christian, they're anti-Bible, so they just cover up all that stuff. Well, that's not science. What are you afraid of? I know Chinese people, they say, what's wrong with you Americans? You can't admit all this stuff. It's like, yeah, these are communists telling us that, we're denying all this stuff. Well, go figure that. I'm telling you, I don't have much respect for most American paleontologists. Some of them are just virulent. They're political. They have an agenda, and it's not science. Anyway, I think that's it. It's a David and Goliath scenario. You get into that, they're going to be looking at the Bible, and well, what about Nephilim and all this L.A. Marzulli stuff? Could that be true? What about the aliens? And all that stuff, the long-headed Peruvians. Well, what about it? Let's look into it. What does it all mean?
Okay, wow, you hit on something. That picture I posted up on Facebook today of the skull you sent me.
Yep. Which one? The baby skull? Or?
No, the human skull that's elongated.
Is the one with the lower jaw, the red one, called Cinnamon?
Yeah.
Yeah. L.A. apparently is L.A. Marzulli, Watcher series. He's apparently done DNA on that particular skull, and it comes out like we pretty much thought it would be, as being European, more Middle Eastern, like Egypt or somewhere like that. So what we're saying is, well, hey, remember Joshua and Caleb? They came into the land of giants in Canaan there, and eventually down to David. David was fighting all these giants. You can look it up. There's like 18 tribes of giants mentioned in the Bible, and there's a lot more mentioned in ancient writings. Our conclusion, I can't speak for Marzulli, but some of us guys are researching this whole Nephilim problem, is it looks like about 2,500, maybe 3,000 years ago or more, everybody, these giant races, left the Levant over there, left Israel, left Jordan, because they basically said, look, he's going to kill all of us. And so they, all of a sudden, archaeologists have said for a long time, it's just amazing how over here in South America, these advanced civilizations just appear out of nowhere. These massive pyramids and aligned with the moon and the stars and all that stuff. Well, about when did that happen? Well, they put these fantastic ages on there, but they'd be realistic. They're probably about the time that those giant blonde-headed men left the Middle East. They came over to South America, even North America, China, other places. They said, hey, look, what we're going to tell you how to move these stones around and do all kinds of stuff you never have done before. I think that's probably what happened. And they don't say much about it because, again, it gets over into the Bible and everybody's scared of the Bible. Like, why? It's just history. Why be scared about it? So, the most fascinating stuff in the world are these giant people. And they're all over the place. And museums can't talk about it. Most churches can't talk about it. So that's why I'm independent. That's why Marzulli is independent,
Oh, wow. Now, wrapping this up, you want to tell the people about your books, about your books and where they can find them and all that stuff?
You can order my books at mountblanco.com. That's MTBLANCO.com. Our little white base out here called Mount Blanco, Monte Blanco. That's the community I grew up in, so I named my museum after my community, and we all anglicize it, call it Mount Blanco. MattBlanco.com will get you to my book on giants, Giants Against Evolution. It's also half the book is about giant animals, which just makes the whole idea of little to big look ridiculous. Then I have a book called Fossil Facts and Fantasies, where I take pretty much every major fossil category and show, look, here's how this doesn't fit the evolution, timeline they're talking about. And there's other books on there, but those are my two main books on fossils. And I've written, I've had a pretty interesting life. So I wrote a book called It's Been Strange Being Here on Earth, and book 1. So you can get one of those too if you like it. One on the women's movement. The women's movement is called Long Hair, what the women's movement has done to women in America. And it's kind of controversial, but, I guess I don't have good sense. Anyway, those are my books on MountBlanco.com.
Okay. And do you have a website? Does it go into anything like, Bigfoot or Mothman or anything like that where people can read up on it or anything?
Well, I haven't had anybody really to work on the website for a while. So all this stuff, the new stuff, Mothman, all that's really new. Bigfoot's new. But I've got a new website guy, a hoster, and we're going to go in and update the website, add all this new stuff in there, and make it really, really cool. So that stuff's going to be on there eventually. I'm going to have to publish on what I know about Bigfoot. I know a lot, and I think I can add to the dialogue a little bit. The Mothman thing, good grief! I guess we're going to be the Mothman center of the world here in Crosby, and we've had so many sightings.
Oh wow!
So I'm hoping to do a thing called 651 Project 651. Because up and down this little 60-mile long highway here that goes through Crosbyton, through ranch territory and farms, it just dead ends in a little town called Post, and dead ends on a highway up here. And all this stuff has happened on it. I go, I got to collect this stuff. Mothman, Bigfoot, a vision of, you ever heard that song, an old cowpoke riding out one dark and stormy night?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, that vision occurred right over a ranch over here, right close to 651. There have been UFO sightings, and these guys shined their light up on this UFO. They were out hunting coyotes, and the thing filled the canyon with light. Okay, so then that's just the stories I've collected now. Another guy, cowboy, called me up and go, man, we got lights out here following us around. One of them was following my kid on a motorcycle. So I thought, okay, I'll get out there. I'll get your story. So I'm collecting stories, and I know there's a lot more out there. I don't know why 651 Coronado came right through here. The last Indian battle was fought right through here. And, there's a lot of other stuff that, anyway, that's Project 651 is going to be, I hope we do an annual thing to have people come out, hey, drive the road at night, see if you see anything.
Oh, yeah.
And you don't get abducted.
Yeah, I'm just going to ask you a question. With Mothman reported around there, have people lost pets, animals, and stuff like that, livestock?
That's a good question. It's a good question. My brother was a conscientious rancher. He worked for a big ranch out here, and if there was a calf or a cow came up missing, he knew it, and I never heard him say anything about that. So these old cowboys around, they're all Scotch, so they know they're not going to miss a cow or a calf. And I've never heard of anything like that. Although we had a werewolf story here, and it was told to be legitimate. He and I dialogued back and forth in the paper all summer, scared everybody to death. But he would go out to these ranches right there near 651.
Oh, wow.
And but he just killed raccoons and eat them raw, he says. Come on.
Well, it sounds like we're going to have to get you back on like in March and talk about like these UFOs and Mothman and all that stuff that's going around in that area.
Well, there's a lot going on. And yeah, I'll be glad to come back and tell you what I know.
Okay, sir. Again, why don't you give everybody your website again, and they can find you, and hopefully now I was reading that your museum was closed temporarily or something. Is it back open or going to be open?
Well, we had the two worst hails in this county